Hello, I'm Richard Cree, the Editor-in-Chief of Economia, and I'm here at KPMG's offices in Singapore for the third of our global series of the value of audit discussions.
Yeah, I think there's one element, of course, which has been brought out was the boilerplate reporting in the auditor's report. But the other thing is beyond that is more transparency around the auditor-auditee relationship.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is the trust in the profession. The independence is very important. And if there are concerns around those issues, then I think the audit profession should be much more open. And what I mean will be things like how long have the auditors been the auditor, and what kind of other work that it does, be more specific, because there are certain services which poses more significant conflicts than others, and also what kind of work the audit firm does for the whole group, not just on a company basis. So I think sometimes the audit profession, my perception is that it is still reactive, and I think the audit profession should kind of say, we are supposed to be transparency agents, really, and we should really be at the forefront of pushing for greater transparency, not only within companies, but within our own profession.
And I just wonder the extent to which the profession is really engaging with that. I mean, there's talk, a lot of discussion about it, but do you see many signs of actual change?
I haven't seen much signs. I still feel that at the moment it's still reacting to regulation. For example, I look at how different countries, the disclosures around tenure of auditors and disclosure around different type of non-audit services and non-audit fees provided for network firms and so on. I find that the level of disclosure is very much driven by what the rules in those countries require. Yeah. And sometimes I say, maybe auditor, even if it's not required, they should try to disclose. But although having said that, obviously the rules help, because at the end of the day, the clients, these are the clients' auditors' financial statements. And the clients may have a view in terms of what sort of disclosure should be made.
You mentioned also that you had some concerns around the extent to which the firms were being, the culture of the firms perhaps being driven by the degree of non-audit work. I wonder if you want to expand on that.
Because if you look at globally, all the major accounting firms, the non-audit services have grown faster, and all the big four, the non-audit services account for a greater share of the revenue than the audit services. So when you have situations like that, sometimes you wonder, is it even appropriate to call them audit firms? Or are they consulting firms with? And if you don't watch it, after a while, they become consulting firms with a bit of an audit business. Yeah. And the risk is that the other parts of the business, where there's sometimes you really are working for management in a lot of those services rather than working for the shareholders. If you are doing corporate finance type work, quite often, or other type of consulting work, quite often you are working for the management. If that start becoming too important, then you worry that it will drive the culture of the whole firm.